Hey, what's up, y'all? What's up, goofies? Where's my water? I just had... Really? Oh. Oh, how did I go that far? Make sure y'all drink y'all water. Because if you're not drinking your water, you're going to die. Like, literally. Because I know a lot of y'all smoke and a lot of y'all probably drive trucks and shit. I got a lot of truckers over here. I do. Yeah, and I rock with y'all. Truck drivers are the bread root of America. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all cool. Y'all cool peoples. But anyways, we're going to do Jesus was not a myth in 15 minutes. So he's going to explain how there's a lot of evidence for Jesus. I don't know if y'all know my background, but I'm not going to tell you. Not going to tell you. I'm just going to act like a dude on the internet who just knows what he's talking about. And y'all can research everything I'm probably about to say. Let's get it. Let's go. Uh-oh.
There simply is no good explanation. Naturalistically speaking, we can use a historical process of investigation to conclude that quite likely maybe something supernatural happened here. What happened when Jesus died?
Slow it down. Okay, listen, guys. I'm gonna slow this conversation down because this is something that's sneaky that religious people do. They talk extremely fast and they use extremely big words, and a lot of y'all can't follow it. So I'm gonna slow it down. Okay? What he's trying to say already, and some of you will get it, but what he's trying to say already is that something happened here. Something spiritual happened here, right? Keep in mind, spiritual is not reality. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Something supernatural happened here. Okay? Let's see. Let's see what he said.
Shortly after his death, we take a look at what happened, and those historical scholars we've already referred to, in general, agree with three facts.
The video that you're about to watch
okay, fuck it. We're
deals with the historic facts for Jesus and his crucifixion and his resurrection. A lot of people get things very wrong when it comes to this topic, so I'm going to go ahead and play the video, let Nabil make his presentation, and then I'm going to hop in on the back end and basically build on top of some of the claims that he makes. I'm going to give you guys quotes, I'm going to give you guys actual sources from history so that we can avoid the meme of, what are your sources? Trust me, bro. Let's get into it.
What are the sources regarding Christianity? And some of you might be even asking, Nabil, why should I even believe Jesus is real? Why should I ever even believe that he's a man who existed? The first thing I'm going to start off by telling you is that it is incontrovertible, according to historical principles of investigation, that a man named Jesus existed in the first century.
Incontrovertible, okay? Think what he's saying is that there's nothing to prove that Jesus did not exist. There's no evidence to prove that Jesus did not exist. I want you guys to understand something. I'm not fighting against this. I'm not fully fighting against this, and I want to hear all their evidence. But there is no primary evidence to prove Jesus existed in the first century. None. There's not a single element of primary evidence. The only thing we have is secondary evidence. So I guarantee you throughout this entire video, they're not going to give a shirt, a house, anything, a donkey, like anything. They're not going to give any of that. What they're going to give you is secondary evidence from sources that come from the first century who are the early church fathers. I can guarantee you that's all they're going to give you. Now, I want you to, I'm just going to ask a question before he goes along, right? If I told you that somebody told me that somebody told me that somebody told me that something happened, would you believe it? That's what we're doing here. The early church fathers claim they came in contact with the disciples, which there are no evidence of them either. Just to be honest, no primary evidence. There's secondary evidence of all of it. There is secondary evidence of all of it. But because of the secondary, okay, let me be fair. Let me be fucking fair. Secondary evidence is still good because it's still considered evidence, but it's not. It's like okay, so the secondary evidence of World War II is still something that you need to talk about. What happened to, like, the Jews in the camps? They're giving you secondary evidence of what happened, even though we can find primary evidence like gas chambers, guns, bullets, all kind of stuff like that. They're still giving you secondary evidence of, like, testimonies of what happened. So the Bible is still evidence. It's evidence, but it's not conclusive. It's not conclusive evidence. So that's where these guys be acting like, okay, let's keep going.
How do we know this? We have over 40 records of Jesus' life. Hold
on. Listen to what he's about to say. Stick to what he's about to say here. 40 records of Jesus' life. No, remember, he's not going to say a shirt. Nothing that exists, like hair, bones, like something from Paul down to Peter to Luke, any of them, nothing. It's just gonna be records. I want y'all to keep that in mind.
ancient times, describing this man who is essentially a carpenter in Palestine. He didn't have much of anything. He wasn't a centrally important figure at the time, yet we have 40 sources that refer to him.
Imagine being able
Hold on. I'm gonna let that play like while I was doing it.
to build an
It's good. I like that. 40 sources. We're gonna write that down. 40 sources that refer to him. Cool. We're gonna write that down. Let's go.
You know who the emperor was at Jesus' time? Someone shout it out. Tiberius. Good. Tiberius was the emperor of Rome at that time.
No, he's right. I'm
This is
sorry.
a man who obviously we should have a lot written about. We can expect tons and tons of records about this man, can't we?
Uh-huh.
The historical records contain Tiberius' name by 10 different individuals. That's it. 10?
But you have a shirt of Tiberius. You have a throne of Tiberius. You do have records, but you also have a bunch. You have a bunch of primary evidence of Tiberius. You don't have a single bit of primary evidence of Jesus or a single bit of evidence of the disciples. The argument that they make back to the no primary evidence is the fact that the disciples were peasants. You know, but think about it. We have primary evidence of what the Egyptians were doing, how Egyptians dressed. We have primary evidence of how like the women moved, how the men moved, but we have no primary evidence of Jesus or the disciples. The early church fathers, they listen, like, okay, I'm not saying he didn't exist. I'm just saying, like, I think like when I studied in theology, what I saw was a bunch of people who were believers giving you the answers. And I think that's kind of shady. I think like if we're going to get the answers, you have to get the answers from people who don't believe in the shit at all. To some degree, I think in my mind, right, you know, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, you know, but I could be, you know.
For Tiberius, the emperor of Rome, 40 for Jesus. You can see we have excellent reason to believe that this man, Jesus of Nazareth, lived and existed in the first century. And that's why very, very few, in fact, I can probably count it on one hand, actually, just I know of two, scholars who study the historical Jesus actually claim that Jesus never existed. And one of them is Bob Price, who most other scholars say is just not even possible what he says.
Now,
So
see, he's trying to refute, okay. He's trying to refute a scholar that says that Jesus doesn't exist by saying, oh, like, everybody just says he's not even relevant enough to talk about. No, he's very relevant to talk about. Why is everybody saying he's not relevant? Because a lot of people who study theology are biased as fuck. They're already believers. So it's like, how do you, like if you have somebody in there who's like, okay, there's just not enough evidence to prove that, that's the person we really need to be listening to, who still believes to some degree, right? Bob Price believes to some degree, I think. Let me backtrack on that. Like, I don't know if he actually is a believer fully. Like, that might be actually even a better thing to go off of, the fact that he's not really a believer. But he might say it. Let me see.
we can dismiss just...
I've never heard him say he was or wasn't.
Lack of scholastic support that this is actually the case. So Jesus certainly exists. Okay, what can we know about him? Well, of the scholars that study him, and keep in mind, there is an entire area of historical studies called historical Jesus studies. So we have scholars who've been studying this on all sides. These aren't all Christians by any means. Actually, the most influential ones wouldn't align themselves with Orthodox Christianity. You have people like Paula Fredrickson, Marcus Borg, Bart Ehrman. You have people along these lines who would say, like John Dominic Crossan, who would say that of Jesus we can know for a fact that he died on the cross. Now keep in mind, that's one of our 3 points that we're proving for Christianity, or attempting to show to determine its reliability. Did Jesus die on the cross? The scholars who study his life, regardless of whether they're atheist, Buddhist, agnostic, Hindu, Christian, it doesn't matter. They all conclude that Jesus died on the cross.
They do. Okay? The argument is not whether he died on the cross. It's whether he rose from the dead. That's the conversation. The argument is not whether he died on the cross. It's whether he rose from the dead. Yes, all the biased scholars who study the information that was given to them by specific people. You know, I'm going to give y'all something, right? He's going to give his evidence. Let me give you mine, right? I want you guys to go read a book called The Bible Unearthed, right? Go read The Bible Unearthed and go study, like, what Israel Finkelstein was trying to say. And I want you to tell me what you get from that. I'm only saying this, and that has nothing to do with Jesus. It just talks about Israel and Israel's existence. But like, I just wonder what you guys are going to think when you read that. Like, it's like, I like what he did. He opened the door and he just let you go in and see for yourself. What do you see? Do you still believe with what you're seeing? Same thing with Walter Kaiser, where he wrote a book called Israel. Get it, go, get it, get it. because it gives you a full-fledged understanding of Israel. And there's a quote in there that I'll say in another video, but I loved it. I love that book. That book is good. It definitely broke down everything that you need to know. So I think you guys should read it for yourselves.
Now, if I left it there, it would be an appeal to authority, and we're trying to be academically rigorous tonight, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you some of the reasons why they believe Jesus died on the cross, but we're going to keep it brief because scholars are unanimous on this issue.
Let's hear the reasons.
By the way, it's not just them. Even Muslim scholars will argue that Jesus did die on the cross. How many of you heard of Reza Aslan's book recently, Zealots, that came out this year? A few of you? Reza Aslan's a scholar who has studied the historical Jesus. And as a Muslim, he says, yes, Islam denies Jesus' death on the cross, and I am a Muslim, but I confirm that Jesus' death on the cross is historically certain.
No one's saying it isn't. He's right. It's not the argument. The argument is, did he rise from the dead? Because the thing that the Christians believe is that he was the Messiah. The Jews don't believe he was the Messiah. The Muslims believe there are multiple Messiahs. None of them are going to doubt what they're reading when it comes to like what people are telling them they found in documents. I'm just letting you know. Like, they didn't find the cross. They didn't even find the cross, the tomb, none of that shit. They just found documents that say he died on the cross. And actually, even the documents, if you go deep enough, like one of them he's going to bring up is going to be Josephus. I'm 1000% sure this motherfucker is going to bring up Josephus. If you research Josephus, you'll realize like Christians in the early century were placing things into his writings. Like, and there's one really good example of it, because Josephus was a well-known Jew. He was a renowned Jew. He was deep into Jewish beliefs, and Josephus would have never called Jesus the Messiah because he was that. But in one of his writings, the early church fathers changed it. Or I don't know. I think the early church fathers changed it. I'm gonna say think. Okay, not even think. I'm gonna say. What's the word you gotta say when like you know you like? I'm trying to think of the word. Fuck it, I don't care. But like I think the early church fathers changed it and made it to where he called Jesus the Messiah. Yeah. So Josephus is gonna be one of them. So is Tacitus. Tacitus is gonna be the other one. Watch. I guarantee you. These are the biggest pieces of evidence that they have on the record of Jesus and a record from Jesus' brother. So which never mind. I don't even have to go there if y'all think deep about it. Jesus' brother. just go deep on that one. Like. Because never mind. According to the story, wasn't there no immaculate form of conception? Just think about it. According to the fucking story, like wasn't there no immaculate form of conception? Where did the brother come from? We got I don't know. Let's just keep going.
He builds his whole book off the fact that Jesus died on. So even as a Muslim, he says Jesus died on the cross. So why? Why do they say?
Again, if you love Jesus, just know I love Jesus too. I don't hate Jesus. I'm just saying, like, I'm just giving the other side of the evidence. Okay. He could have existed. I could be totally wrong. I just have a lot of questions. I have a ton of questions based on what I've read and what I've studied about the history of theology. Like, it just, none of it adds up. It just sounds like people are like twisting and turning a lot of things that, it just sounds like, I don't know. To me, it does.
Well, because first off, all the evidence that we have, all the records of Jesus' life, which talk about his death, indicate that he did die. If they say anything, it says that he did die on the cross under Pontius Pilate, which is why Paula Frederickson said,
I want you to guys know something else too. Let me make sure this is clear. He died under Pontius Pilate. Didn't he just say Tiberius was in power? He died under Pontius Pilate. Just do some research on this before I keep going. Never mind. No. I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna let him talk because they're gonna say it for me.
If there's anything we can know about Jesus, anything at all, it's this: that he died on the cross under Pontius Pilate. If you go away from Christian records, you go to Jewish records like Josephus, we can also see in the first century that non-Christians are saying Jesus died on the cross. We go to Gentile scholars; they are also agreeing that Jesus died on the cross. And in fact, we also have some of them saying that these people believe he has risen from the dead.
Y'all, did I not mention Josephus? Come holler at me.
We'll get to that in just a moment. So we have excellent reason to believe Jesus died on the cross because all the records point to that. Plus, if you study the historical process of crucifixion, nobody ever in the entire history of the Roman process of crucifixion, no one ever survived a full Roman crucifixion. So we have excellent reason to believe Jesus died on the cross. Did he rise from the dead? This is an important matter, and lots of historians say we cannot investigate the resurrection because that's not a historical matter, that's a supernatural matter. You can't study supernatural matters. Well, that's jumping the gun just a bit. If every explanation that is naturalistic falls short, and falls very short, of explaining what happened, then we have reason to believe that something supernatural may have happened.
Okay.
If there simply is no good explanation, naturalistically speaking, we can use a historical process of investigation to conclude that quite likely maybe something supernatural happened here. So, what happened when Jesus died? Shortly after his death, we take a look at what happened, and those historical scholars we've already referred to, in general, agree with three facts that are considered relatively incontrovertible.
Okay.
And I'm giving you what's called the minimal facts argument, if you want to look into this. It's called the minimal facts argument, primarily promoted by a man named Gary Habermas, who's written a book called The Historical Jesus. Also by his protege, Michael Licona, who's written a book called The Case for the Resurrection of Jesus. He wrote it alongside Gary Habermas. And he's also written his manifesto, a rather large book that serves well for curing insomnia. He's written that as well. Sorry, Mike.
We're actually going to have Mike on the channel here in the upcoming months, and he also is in the documentary, so great guy. It's funny that Nico's taking a shot at him here.
He's written that as well, and if you want to look at a very thorough investigation of the historical method on whether or not Jesus died, I suggest you take a look at this book published by Ernst.
Like, I just want to keep making this clear that he's jumping around a lot in a lot of different. If you guys pay attention, he's not staying on the point. No one is saying Jesus. The people who all believe in it is the argument is not did Jesus die. Some people who believe that he existed believe he died. The question is, did he rise from the dead? Like, now let's hear your minimum facts argument. Like, I want to hear your facts argument about a man rising from the dead. Like, that's where everybody is like, no, this sounds like some bullshit. Sounds like it was twisted and turned and flipped. Could there have been a person who existed in the first century Palestine named Jesus? No, because there was no J that even existed at that time. Come on, guys. Like, how much deeper can we go? The name had to have been something else, first things first, because they're getting the name wrong. Like, I want them to actually say the name. Like, there was no J. The J wasn't invented until the 15th century. Like, I'm not gonna keep that. I'm not gonna do that argument because I know that y'all cut me to piss on that. Like, because I know what the real name is. Yahshua. I know. Yahshua. I know. I'm not gonna do that. I'm joking. Don't be in the comments like, oh, the real name is Yahshua. Shut up, Cam. Like, yeah, I know.
And Michael Licona is the author. The argument runs as follows. Pretty much every scholar who studies this, at least the vast majority, if not virtually all scholars, conclude three things happened.
What are three things?
After Jesus died.
After Jesus
died. Well, number one, the first one is that Jesus did die on the cross, which we just looked at. Number two, that the disciples, Jesus' disciples, all believed he had risen from the dead. So,
that's the second piece of evidence. The disciples risen from the dead. Guys, I want you to stick on this, right? And I hope this guy reaches out to me at some point and debates me on this, because it'd be fun. I'd love to have a debate with this guy, because it'd be good. Okay. Look into any primary evidence of any of the disciples. Look into anything outside of the Bible that points towards any of the disciples existing. Anything. Just try to find that. I understand they said Jesus rose up into the sky. So, maybe there's no bones or nothing to Jesus, right? But let's just talk about his disciples, right? His disciples died normal deaths. There should be bones, hair, something somewhere of Luke, Mark, somebody, can they find anything? I want you guys to research if that's ever out there. So his piece of evidence is that all the disciples believed in unison that Jesus died and rose from the dead. That's his evidence. So his evidence is the Bible. That's his evidence. That's his secondary, that's his evidence.
The disciples truly believed that Jesus had risen from the dead, and according to most historical Jesus scholarship, Christianity wouldn't have gotten off the ground if it weren't for that fact. Fact number three. Fact number one was Jesus died on the cross. Fact number two, the disciples truly believed he had risen from the dead. Fact number three, people who were enemies of Jesus, or not his disciples, also believed he had risen from the dead. Now, who are we talking about? We're talking specifically about two people. James, the brother of Jesus, and Paul, or Saul of Tarsus, as it were. James, the brother of Jesus.
This is why it's so shady, man. I'm sorry, bro. Like I'm a believer. I believe there's a God. I do, and I love the ideas that came from the Bible. There's a lot of earthly wisdom in the Bible. I don't want y'all to think I'm trying to attack it. I'm not. Like I'm just saying, like, if we're really looking at the facts, just facts, right? You can even concur at certain points. Paul may have lied about the contact that he came in contact, if Paul even existed at all, because there's nothing been found on Paul either. But Paul lied about the contact that he had with Jesus. You find two totally different stories in the Gospels, and they contradict themselves. So it's like your only evidence is the Bible, Paul and the disciples, and what they said in the Bible. That's your only evidence. Guys, don't ever go away from that point he just made. That's the 3-level argument. He died, the disciples believed it, Paul believed it. Guys, listen, I understand Christians, y'all are fucking, believe what you want to believe type shit. And I'm about to cut this off because the video is it's whatever. So I'm gonna do a part 2 to this, and we'll have more of a discussion about it. But I do want to hear the evidence that the other guy has. I do want to hear it because it'll be a good conversation. But his only evidence is the Bible. It's evidence, it is, but it's one document. There aren't that many documents, y'all. Look, it's just, listen. Okay, let me flip it. There's a bunch of everybody who came in contact with Muhammad is technically considered, for the people who wrote in the Quran, right? The men who wrote in the Quran, the contact that they had with Muhammad. Christians would argue that that's actual evidence that he even existed at all. Because Muhammad was illiterate, and him being illiterate, he was endowed by the angel Gabriel with something to read, right? Christians would argue that didn't happen. They would argue that shit. So it's weird to hear them but ours is true though. You know what I'm saying? Something supernatural happened here, but something couldn't supernatural have happened to the Muslims. It's interesting. Both stories. I don't know, y'all. I'm gonna stop. I know y'all are probably getting pissed in the comments. But listen, I love Jesus and I love y'all. And yeah, we'll have more because I was talking too much. We couldn't get through it because this is 15 minutes long. This guy was, I think he I don't know. To be a scholar of religion, you kind of have to be able to weasel your way into questions and weasel your way out of questions. And nobody was saying anything about the death. Everyone's saying everything about the resurrection. Did he actually rise from the dead? Did he really walk on water? Did he really heal people? These are the questions that people really have. That's what makes the story sound weird to people. If those things did happen and you guys can prove it, you'd have, nobody would, I don't know, nobody would go against it. But anyways, y'all, I'm out. Peace.